Hi, I'm John McLemore here with my friend and resident cook at Masterbuilt, Daryl Kraft. So Daryl, thanks for sharing the rib recipe with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, John.
Yeah. So you're our, the Masterbuilt certification engineer. Now, I know how important that is to what you do at Masterbuilt, but explain what a certification engineer is.
Well, you know, we're in the outdoor cooking appliance business, and all of our products have to be certified. So we work with different labs. They test them, make sure they're safe.
Yeah, and quality for us is very important at Masterbuilt. And today we're cooking on the ThermoTemp, which I know is your favorite smoker. Why?
Just consistent temperatures. It's easy to use and puts out a great product.
So I say, Daryl, we dive into this recipe.
Let's do it.
Let's get started.
Well, I'm going to start by just removing the silver skin on these. I always start in the middle on a bone and then work my fingers up.
Work your fingers to the bone. Like that. Now that's coming off pretty easy, but a lot of times that can be pretty temperamental, right?
Yeah, I'd say about 60% of the time it comes off pretty easy.
And you take that off for what reason?
It lets the rub get into the meat.
Yep.
So that just acts as a barrier.
Yeah, and I've noticed sometimes if you don't take it off, that can be chewy, so we always remove it as well. So
I've got two different sweet rubs. This is a Cimarron Docks rub. I use about 80% or about 3 to 1. And this is a Dizzy Dust.
okay, so you basically
both sweet.
you just blend that together.
Yes.
Okay, how much of this do you want to put on?
Well, you can keep going.
You want to put a lot of it on there then?
Yeah, it's sweet and that's pretty good.
All right.
So we'll just rub that in.
And you're gonna put that on both sides?
Both sides.
But if you can't get this particular rub, what do you recommend people get?
I think any sweet rub would work fine.
Okay. We're gonna put these on the smoker, and what temperature?
250 degrees.
250 degrees. Now we've already got one rib going here. We always put our raw food on the bottom of what we're smoking, and we've had this now on for 2 hours. So this is what we call a three-step recipe. 2 hours unwrapped at 250 degrees, and we're gonna put them back on wrap for 1 hour. So what are you gonna add before we wrap these ribs?
3 different ingredients. Brown sugar.
Okay,
I'm just going to kind of spread it out the length of the rib.
just to taste.
Then honey.
So per rib, that looks like maybe half a cup of brown sugar and a couple of 3 tablespoons of honey.
Yeah.
And then,
And then margarine.
margarine. Don't you just
They gave me the
love
one
that
that
there? You always got to get rid of that thing. I love that. So we got brown sugar, honey, and margarine. Okay. Now when I put these ribs on, up or down?
Meat side down.
Meat side down, okay? Got it?
We'll just wrap this up. It really helps, you know, moisturize and tenderize the meat.
Okay, so 2 hours unwrapped, 1 hour wrapped, and we've actually got some that we've been cooking here as well, but we're gonna let these cook for 1 hour, and while we're doing that, I believe you've got a special barbecue sauce for us?
Sure do.
Tell me what we got.
Well, we've got just a few ingredients. We have ketchup, molasses, apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, Worcestershire sauce, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne, and honey.
Wow, and it all goes in at the same time.
This all goes in
Okay.
and we'll let it simmer for a little bit after that.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Starting with ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Your little helper here. This is gonna be the fun one. This is the molasses.
Here, I'll let you do that one.
Okay. Garlic powder,
A little bit of
a
cayenne.
little bit of cayenne. You want a little heat to it.
Just a little heat because
Okay.
the rubs are all sweet.
A
So
little more brown sugar. And honey. And that's gonna be the fun one as well. So, how long do we want to simmer this for, Daryl?
20, 30 minutes
Okay.
just so all the ingredients get mixed in well.
All right. Now, once this barbecue sauce gets done, and we always like to make a little extra barbecue sauce for dipping, but we're actually going to put this barbecue sauce directly on the ribs. Now, Daryl, is this going into the barbecue sauce?
No, John, we're gonna spritz the ribs in a little
Okay.
bit here.
So during the first 2 hours of the ribs being unwrapped, after the first hour, spray some apple juice on the ribs and it gives it it adds a little more sweet flavor to the ribs, make them actually a little more juicy. So we're gonna let that simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. We've got a little bit more time on our ribs. We're gonna take them out, unwrap them, and add this barbecue sauce.
Sounds good.
Looking good. All right, so Daryl, our barbecue sauce has been simmering now for about half an hour. Our ribs are now at phase 2, so they've been in for a total of 3 hours. 2 hours unwrapped, 1 hour wrapped. And it's time to add your secret barbecue sauce. So now we're gonna use this aluminum foil as a kind of a pan to sauce up. Put them back on the last 30 minutes, right?
30 more minutes.
Want to flip them to put the barbecue sauce on. Each side up. Yeah, those are a little hot. Okay, sauce them. Now notice one other thing that you were saying that you do. Once you get the barbecue sauce on these, we're going to put them directly back on the rack. You dust them one more time. Is that right?
A little more of the dizzy dust.
A little more of the dizzy dust. And that's just a nice little light sprinkle on top. I've actually not done this recipe until today, but I've had this recipe and I can promise you they are amazing. So we're gonna put them back on the ThermoTemp and I've turned the temperature up to 350 degrees and we're gonna let that heat up and caramelize that barbecue sauce for the last phase, and then the most fun?
Eating.
Eating. See you in 30 minutes. You ready to look at these ribs?
Let's try them.
All right, so we're 3.5 hours into this recipe, and you can hear them because we've turned the temperature up. They're sizzling. If they taste as good as they look, I think we're gonna be very happy with this recipe.
Well, you know, and today we did baby back ribs, and if you do a spare rib, it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Probably that first, instead of 2 hours, maybe 3 hours.
This is a little larger.
Exactly.
Okay, so my favorite part of doing a recipe, Daryl, and again, thanks for sharing this, is tasting. So how about a rib toast?
There you go.
Moist, bite it off the bone. If you want it to come off the bone a little easier, you can leave it wrapped a little longer, right?
Exactly.
That to me is a perfect rib. Daryl, you got, right here.
Saving that for
Yeah,
later.
no, it's upside.